Hello again, everyone. Andy Garcia here, looking at the markets, and I'm looking at the currencies and the dollar index futures. As you can see on the far left here, you got dollar index futures on a 4-hour chart, followed by the yen, the Swiss franc, and the Canadian dollar across the top, the euro, the pound, the Australian dollar across the bottom. And these are all on 4-hour charts. Again, looking at last week's trading range versus this week's trading range here. And so what I do is I draw these vertical lines that help me illustrate last week's trading range or trading activity, the open and the close, and then I demark the low, the close, and the high, and I watch this range. So I'll be talking about this, but as you can see on every chart, that's pretty much what I've outlined here. You get the euro, and looking at last week's range followed by this week's. But we start off by looking at the dollar index futures. As you can see, this week dollar index futures tried to break down here below last week's low, and did give you the impression that it was going to stay below the 80 level as we cruised down into the 79.60s before turning around towards the end of the week, and of course going into non-farm payrolls. So that number came in and impacted the market and pushed the dollar back up through last week's trading range, which is kind of interesting. So this was all nothing but a fake out, this initial drive down at the beginning of the week, and the back end of the week was the real move, where the dollar index retook out the 80 level, and then almost took out the 81. So as you can see, settling right here about 80.42 towards the back end of the week, breaking out of the top side of last week's high. As you can see here, breaking down below last week's low first, and then towards the end of the week taking out the highs, but not settling above last week's high, which is pretty important. So as you go take a look here at the euro, as you can see, did try to break out of last week's trading range pretty early on in the week. That could have given you a pretty decent trading opportunity there. And then when the dollar index decided to find strength late on in the week, you can see here that the euro started to break down and traded back all the way down towards last week's low, using last week's low as support before closing just off of last week's low around 129.25. It's kind of interesting, which suggests here that this 131 area is a weak area, or should we say a level of resistance that is confirmed by the daily charts. We'll talk about that a little bit more in depth in the premium market wrap. But to confirm that, you can see here that the pound broke out of last week's high, and then traded above it, giving you a pretty decent opportunity, and then failed, trading back inside of last week's trading range. And the same thing with the Australian dollar, where it attempted to trade above last week's high before failing and settling just underneath last week's high. But overall, trading mildly upward, not able to break any kind of ranges with any kind of conviction here in the Australian dollar, like you saw in the pound and the euro, towards the beginning of the week. But on the flip side, you got the Japanese yen was a little choppy this week in consideration of what it's been like over the past couple of weeks. And it's going to be important because the curiosity here is if we might have found a short-term high that the Japanese yen may look to respect. And the Swiss franc here breaking out of consolidation area that was established over the past couple of weeks, furiously pushing above key levels here. And when you look at the higher time frames, you're going to see perhaps the completion of a getting close to the completion of a reverse head and shoulders here, but finishing pretty strong, breaking last week's high. And now the question here going into next week in the Swissy is whether or not this can continue to show strength. At the same time, you got the Canadian dollar basically breaking down last week's low and closing below that, which is not the kind of confirmation that I want to see here in the Swiss franc. So Swiss franc looks like it wants to go higher next week. You got the dollar index, which would confirm that, and that's kind of what I'm looking at. At the same time, you get the euro and the pound. Let's see if they continue to push lower. At the same time, as you can see, the 105 level in the Australian dollar holding and showing that there is a key significant level of resistance. Now the question is whether or not we can roll over here in the Australian dollar going into next week. So be on alert. I think that the dollar strength in after non-farm payroll is going to be a big signal going into next week, and if we completely erase that move, then that's going to definitely raise some very big red flags. So I hope that helps, and again, we'll be chatting with you all the next market wrap. This is Andy Garcia signing off. Hope it helps. Good luck in your trading. Stay safe out there. Best you all. We'll see you at the next market wrap. While I got you here, I wanted to take a quick moment to say that if you really liked what you're looking at here in the free Forex market wrap video, I wanted to give you the opportunity to come take a look at the premium weekly Forex market wrap video that I do every week. And basically it's a little bit more in depth, or should I say a lot more in depth information about the markets that I cover. And you can see here that in this short video I go over the basics about what I've been looking at on the major currencies. And the more in-depth market wrap video, I take a look at a in-depth analysis on the 6 major currency pairs. You also get actionable trading scenarios. The important thing here is that we're offering a 3-day risk-free trial, so you don't have to pay a cent. It's about a 30 to 45 minute video that'll go through all the major currency pairs that I look at, and it shows you a lot more in-depth analysis and forecast, looking at the longer term picture and the big major trends that are affecting what you're looking at on the lower time frames that you're looking at on a day-to-day basis. So take a moment to go take a look at the premium market wrap video. You can see the link here provided, www.traderstouch.com/3day, and it also includes a free membership to the Traders Learning Network, where you can meet other traders that are like-minded individuals, and they're basically there to help everybody looking at the same markets as you. So good luck, hope it helps, and look forward to seeing you on the inside.